I asked ChatGPT to put together a poster for me. And I described exactly what I wanted on it. And they obeyed. There's a lot of fear about AI these days, but if you tell it what to do, it'll behave itself. So there's that. Today, I want to talk to you about a subject which has become of great concern to me, and that is the whole notion of re-upping with God. There's a trend today to be much more passive with regard to faith, and a lot of it had to do with the kinds of things that happened when COVID did its thing. And it seems to me that we may not be, Earl, I pressed the button and I'm not getting any response. So, I always have plan B. I have plan B. There are decisions that we make every day that change course, that change the course of our lives. Still nothing. You've got an outline sitting in front of you. That should help you. Excuse me? Do you have one? Well, I'm going to wing it if we can't get the... he's really a very handsome-looking guy. And if God's glory were turned down about, 10,000%, you might be able to see his face, and there's a high likelihood that he would look even better than this dude. Any results there, Mr. No, it says that my battery is full. Thank you so much, Dr. Huffnagel. Appreciate it. There are decisions we make every day that change the course of our soul life. As you know, as a regular activity, as a, quote, retired pastor, I've been mentoring a number of individuals. 3 of them are pastors, and 5 of them are, people that I love and like to work with. And then there's a whole group of young people who are in the age group from 20 to 30 that are discovering who they are, why they're here, what their mission is. And one of the things that I realize is a problem, and I want to share it with you today. It's a little insider thing for you. And it's in the Bible all over the place. But I'm going to begin by introducing you to the concept of re-up. Re-up is a military term. It began early part of the last century when individuals were encouraged after they gave their initial sign-up for 2 or 4 years or whatever other administrative rules were related to signing up for military. These individuals were sometimes even manipulated to re-up. That would be to sign up for another 4 years or another 2 years or another 10 years or whatever. And you would continue to do this. And at each phase, you would sit down and you would look at that document that you were going to sign, and there would be certain commitments on the part of the military, and there would be certain expected activities, attitudes, whatever, on your part in order for that re-up to be valid, useful, and to move you forward. It always had a forward look. It didn't look back. It looked forward. In the same way, we as believers find ourselves in a world that has its fingers crossed, with my arthritis, a little harder to do than it used to be, but you do it behind your back or you do it somewhere else so they don't see that you've got something that you can finagle out of. You can figure, you got wiggle room. And there's no wiggle room in the kingdom. When you're in, you're in. And the boss has his eye on you, not to make life miserable, not to be a master sergeant in your world, but to move you forward, to develop you, to give you an opportunity to become what he designed you to be, what he wants you to be, what you can be, and frankly, what you ought to be. And that goes for me and everybody else in the kingdom. And he's looking longingly at those individuals who have yet to enter the kingdom, and he says, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Because there's tremendous blessings. Even though this is a fallen world, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to have problems, but he's always moving us forward if we will re-up. Many of my friends, graduates from high school, we had a big picnic not too long ago with a number of graduates. And there were 3 people there that were moving forward, and all the rest of them were sitting still. That is, they had the automobile of life, and they were driving down the highway, and somewhere along the line, they pulled over to the side of the road, and in this road of life, and they put it into park. And the motor's still running, and it's like, well, now what? Oh, I just sit here for a while and think about it. And then they spend the rest of their lives sitting by the side of the road, thinking about it. Motor's running, gas finally runs out, and they're gone. Some of you know that my wife's brother passed away on Friday. And he was diagnosed with a form of cancer 3 days before he died. They said, you have a week, 2 weeks, you could have maybe 2 months, 3 months with this particular type of cancer if we did this treatment and this treatment and this treatment, but it's just awful. It's awful. They elected not to do any treatment, and he was gone. Now, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law have a really, really tight relationship with each other and with the Lord. So we are very encouraged, but very sad. Those two had a unique marriage relationship. They re-upped all the time. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but let's take a look at, well, here it is. That moment has arrived. I've had a lot of help in the move that we've made from Edmonds to Linwood. We've given a lot of things away. We've sold a lot of things. We had to downsize. Frankly, as I said earlier that in a meeting here, that it's easier to downsize your body than it's to downsize a house after 20 years. It's pathetic. All this stuff. Anyway, we gave away a bed to one family from Kenya. And the mother of the 3 boys that came to help us, they were so incredibly helpful. They moved stuff, they took things apart, they took things up to the Linwood house. Oh, it was amazing. So talking with the mother, I said, Mom, you raised those boys right. They were very helpful. They did this, that, the other thing. And in a kind of a funny sort of way, they wanted me to give them wisdom in a kind of compensation for their work. I said, wisdom. And one of them said, well, you have 54 years of marriage, you told us. How does that work? How do you stay married for 54 years? Well, I'm going to tell you, the first year you're infatuated. My wife was quite the beauty when she was in college and caught my eye, caught my ear, caught my nose. She was really quite the gal. And I took her out on a Sunday and we got engaged on the Friday. Somehow you just know. So that first year was something else. That's the gal that I married. That's the gal that my marriage vows were directed towards. Year 5, we had a baby. Now, for those of you that don't know, introducing a child into the home is quite the experience. And my wife did not give me the attention that she gave previously, and she was not available for me to give her the attention. So I had to re-up. I had to renegotiate the contract. And God said, no, it's what you signed up for at the beginning. You just need to, in your own heart, re-up. And when 10 years came along and the kids were in high school and grade school and high school, it was a different world. And then into college, and the activities and the perspective and the changes in each one of us. You know, when it comes right down to it, whoever you married, if you're married, and most of you here have been or are married, and when you're married, the cells in your body go through a replacement process. And some 95% of the body changes about every 7 years. So if you think you're still married to the person that you married to begin with, that is a different person physically. That is a different person emotionally. That's a different person experientially. Hey, re-up, man. Re-up. Redirect your love. Take your will and fashion it around that new person. And then when 30 years goes by, same thing. When 40 years go by, same thing. When you get to be 50 years in marriage, you have visitations. And your physical body changes, and you can't do half the things we used to be able to do. You're re-upping with your mate, with your spouse. More about that subject a little later, but first of all, let's talk about a theme for our time. Really, I already introduced it. A spiritually successful life begins with, Lord, I'm available. I'm here to re-up. I'm going to re-up today, and tomorrow morning when I get up, I'm going to re-up tomorrow. I'm going to sign up. I'm going to operate my will directed to you. I messed up yesterday. I did this, this, and this. Please forgive me. I know you love to forgive. I have a hard time forgiving myself, but you give me a chance every morning, because in your word it says your mercies are new every morning. So is your love. And you never run out. And I'm re-upping. I'm re-upping. There are individuals in the scriptures, particularly in the Old Testament, that use the same phrase to express this idea. Moses did this when he said, "Here I am, Lord." And we go, well, the Lord knows perfectly well where you are, so it seems kind of like a silly statement to make. But the meaning that they were expressing to the Lord in these various circumstances, where you have Abraham and you have Jacob and you also have Samuel and you have Isaiah, they were expressing an idea of availability. Here I am. I'm signing up again. I'm here for another round. I'm here for a do-over. I'm here for a please forgive me. I'm here to do your will today. I'm a fallen creature. I get it, but I'm here to sign up again. Part one here, we're going to look at the messy life of Moses. The messy life of Moses. Now, Moses wrote a bestseller. Did you know what Moses' bestseller was? Can anybody tell me the name of the bestseller that Moses wrote? The Pentateuch. The Pentateuch. First 5 books of the Bible. Now, if he was able to collect revenue, but his revenue and the rewards are in heaven. Anyway, Moses had a very messy life. Very, very messy life. The first installment of Moses' life had a lot of re-up issues. He was born in a situation in which the Hebrew children were at risk. And his parents, particularly his mother, recognized that Moses was not some ordinary kid. He was very precocious. He was very intelligent. There just seemed to be some kind of aura around him. In the book of Hebrews 11, verses 23, 28, right in that section in there, describes how the parents said, we're just not going to subject this child to the usual here. We'll put him into a basket because I think the Lord's hands are on him, and we'll just float him down the river, throw him down the Nile, and somebody's going to find him, and somebody's going to take him in because the hand of the Lord is on him. He'll protect him. We're not worried about that. And somebody did. It turned out to be Pharaoh's daughter. And Pharaoh's daughter recognized that it was a Hebrew child, and she was not in a situation to provide milk and nourishment and sustenance for him. So he was able to stay in his parents' home for probably up to the age of 12, and then he became part of Pharaoh's household. Now, in that period of time, he recognized something. He recognized that he was part of a family, the family of God. And he was very conflicted because here he is with a bunch of pagans people. He was a bunch of people who had weird, 10 different gods, which were all plagued later on. And he had to do a kind of re-up all the time he was living in Pharaoh's household. How am I going to handle this? How am I going to negotiate this? I live in a pretty difficult and fallen world. I've got to do something. What am I going to do? So he began to recognize, and other people have recognized about him, that he had certain assets, extraordinary assets. He was both a Hebrew, and there was God, and then there was Pharaoh, there was the God of the land, and he had access to both. And he's thinking, wow, that's really quite a situation to be in. But he began to think, now, maybe I can parlay this into freeing my people, or taking care of my people at least. So he's trusted in his own strength, and he ended up killing someone in endeavor to protect his people. So he's on the run. He's on the run. And he ends up out in the wilderness, and by divine providence, by God's miraculous hand, he ends up with a place to live, an occupation, but he'd basically kind of given up on himself because he had by being impulsive and impetuous, he threw away the assets that he had up to that point. So, well, I guess I'm through. I thought I was going to be somebody important, but no, I'm not. So for 40 years, he's out there taking care of sheep. Anybody here taking care of sheep? Any of you sheep farmers here? There's a shepherd over there. Well, that's pretty good because Stan is the head of the elder board, and you're still shepherding, right? Are some of the people, oh no, I won't ask that embarrassing question if some of the people are just like sheep. Sheep have a way of conducting their lives that you go, this is so human, and this is so stupid. I worked at a church that was across the street from a sheepfold. I saw them every day. The shepherd of that sheepfold would occasionally give me a tour of what's going on. Sheep shearing, all the different things that went on with that particular sheepfold. And I'm going, oh my goodness. Whew. Moses must have had quite the education. Quite the education. Then God called him out. God spoke to him. You know the old burning bush thing. He called him out. Has God called you out ever? Have you sensed that being called out to the thing that God has for you? Every one of us is created for a purpose. We don't always appreciate it, or we may not even understand it. We may not grasp the significance for our particular purpose. But God made it real easy on Moses. He told him exactly what it was. Wow. Even so, because he had spent all that time looking at sheep and knowing that he was one of them, I can't do this. I'm not capable. I've blown it. No way. No, I got a nice, safe, easy, alongside of the road with the parking gear in, and I'm okay. And I'm 80 years old, man. What's the big deal? And God said, you're just getting started. And you don't even fully realize it yet. But I'll be with you. He persuaded them, and he worked with them, and he talked with them. And finally, Moses, and this is the messy part, and I can't summarize all the messiness in there, but just to say that Moses, he was, on the one hand, stubborn and self-protective, and then on the other hand, his heart would change, and he'd go back and forth, and finally he re-upped with God and said, I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I can't talk. I can't do this. I got this taken care of. I got your brother. He'll help you. Here's some magic that will appear to be magic. It's not magic to me because it's just things that I do, but it will be very persuasive. But Pharaoh won't let you go until I have made mincemeat out of every single god in Egypt. And once I've knocked all 10 of them off their little pedestals, then you will go. And Moses, oh man, the workload. Whew, wow. Okay, all right, I'm in. And so he does it. He re-upped through struggle with his will and his temper. He was frustrated with the pleas of the people to go back to Egypt. He got mad at the people's idolatry. Oh, he got so frustrated with them. And in fact, he broke the 10 Commandments. Did you know that? He broke every one of the 10 Commandments. You know he did it? He picked up the big stones that God had given him, and he took that idol that the people had made while he was up on the mountain, and he crushed the idol with the 10 Commandments. And I can imagine God up in heaven saying, now you did it. Now you did it. You broke every one of the 10 Commandments. I'm going to create another set of stones, only this time you're going to chisel out each of the words. Oh. And so it was. There are consequences when you re-up and then screw up, you know? All right? Nevertheless, God will get you through it. And the biggest one of all is he didn't get to go to the promised land. But God said, I'll let you see it. I'll let you see it at 120 years old. I'll let you see it. And we took a tour of Israel some time ago, and we stood up on the mountain. You were with us there. And I'm thinking, this is the view. And it was a kind of hazy day, and so I could just barely see the promised land over the Jordanian Valley. But I got home, and with the magic of Photoshop, I was able to brighten up so I could actually see it. Ooh, that was a wonderful moment. I can imagine what it would be like to be up there, to knowing you can't go in because you did all these dumb things. But to have done all that he did and to write a bestseller, wow, that is something. Let's see, where am I? Yep. He was frustrated by the pleas of the people. He got mad at the people's idolatry. He swatted the stones, and instead of dealing with them the way he was supposed to. Got to follow directions, man. So, part 2. Part 1 was Moses as an example. Now, part 2 is our turn. There's our God pointing his finger at you and me. Yeah, he wants you. You might have thought, well, it's over now. I'm done. I'm over and done. I'm through. Well, I got about 9 months to go before I hit 80. And I'm a kind of a look into the future kind of guy. And I said, well, I got to re-up. What am I going to do? What am I going to do with this opportunity that I have? Will I re-up with God? A friend of mine the other day, he said, John, when are you going to finally retire? I said, well, I did once, and it didn't work for me. I kept hearing voices. I kept hearing the voices of people who needed help. I kept hearing God's voice saying, you can do this. Other voices that said, my grace is sufficient for you. My enablement, I'll get you through it. You can help people. So, God made you and me to be part of his family, for we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Woo-hoo! I don't have to figure out what to do. It's already done in God's eyes. I just have to slip on that little glove of doing and do it and watch what God does. I've had the opportunity to lead a number of people to Christ recently. And one of them made a statement that has really stuck with me. He said, yeah, this is a real God thing. He said, life really looks different from this side. Real different. And he's right. And when you re-up, it's going to look different again. Because that's what he does. Give you a new sense of mission, a new sense of vision. But you got to re-up. And you might find that you have to do that every day. When I get up in the morning, I put my feet down on the floor and I'm sitting here and my wife says, "What are you doing?" And I say, "I'm gathering myself." There's less of it today than there was yesterday. He said, "I'm praying for the grace of God because I know it's going to be sufficient for today. Divine enablement to actually do the right thing." And you know, it is. It is. But you got to try it. You like it. Really. It's amazing stuff. We each have different equipment that becomes evident over time. We have assets. I love this passage. But to each one of us, grace, that is enablement, has been given as Christ apportioned it. Yours is different than mine. My calling is this. My calling is those men that I work with. What's yours? Do you know? Are you invested in it? Don't tell me you don't have one. Come on. What are your assets? Well, I know my assets are pretty small personally, as a person. My background, how I was raised, and all of the experiences of my life. But I do know that God's direction, God's management, God's implementation, God's promise that he's already got this thing in hand is such an encouragement. It's so joy-inducing. It's so full of hope and, man. I wish I could tell you some of the stories, but I don't have permission to tell you. So there you go. All right. We are required to serve each other by using and managing the things given to us. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. 1 Peter 4:10. Man, there's a lot packed into it. I mean, there's 4 or 5 sermons in just one verse. You might be saying, okay, if I sign up, what am I going to get assigned to? I'm going to ask for more patience, and I'm not a doctor, so it won't do me any good. And I know what happens to people who ask for patience. They go through difficult times. I don't want to go through difficult times. Well, they aren't difficult if you've got the grace, because it's sufficient, it's enough. So I know that I can't do this by myself. So this morning, I texted 50 people that I know, would you please pray for me because I've had 4 hours of sleep, I'm an emotional wreck, and I have no idea how I'm going to get through this. Grace and a double shot of coffee, espresso, that helped, but it's not the answer. Because see, the answer is what's going to go on in your heart and mine as a result of our time together today. All right? Are you ready to sign up? Are you ready to re-up with God? I love this paraphrase of Galatians 5:13 in the Message, a paraphrase Bible. We have been given the will and the love in action path from God to do something. And I'll talk about what those some things are in just a moment. And this is what it says, and you've got it in your outline if you've been following along in it. It is absolutely clear that God has called you to a free life. In other words, you haven't got a big cloud hanging over you, got guilt thing, I can't do anything, I'm nobody, blah, blah, blah. You have freedom. Just make sure that you don't use this freedom as an excuse to do whatever you want to do and destroy your freedom. This is not a license. This is an opportunity. This is availability to turn into victory. Don't squander it. Rather, use your freedom to serve one another in love. That's how freedom grows. That's how freedom grows. All of a sudden, you like doing the things that God wants done. You get joy from it. It's almost like ecstasy. There are times I go home and I said to my wife, who's praying for me, she said, well, how'd it go with an appointment or a situation? I said, you won't believe what happened. I still don't believe what happened. This happened and then that happened, and I didn't have anything to do with it. Well, maybe I just kind of urged it along a little bit. And we get to do that all the time. And so can you. So can you, because it's about people. It's not about things. Things help with the whole thing of people. But He's called us to serve one another. So do that. Who are you going to serve? Who are you going to help? I've gotten 10 times back all the help that I've ever given. Wow. We miss so much. So, let's talk about what it looks like to live in a re-up world. What does it look like to live in a re-up world? When I re-up, what am I actually getting into here? Well, husbands, love your wives. We already talked about that. You got to re-up with the spouse. Wives, respect your husbands. Show deference to him. Listen to him. Give him advice. Women have great advice, but the advice is given with barbed wire all around it. It's got thorns in it. Here's really good advice. And I see this all the time. Lack of respect for the husband, lack of love for the wife. Don't you read the book? Don't you follow directions? It's right there. Parents, care for your children. Don't exasperate your kids. Watch over them. Take care of them. Re-up with your kids. They keep changing all the time. My kids are now at 50 or very close to it. My grandkids are now in the graduate from high school stage. And they're different than they were when I was holding them. And you changed a lot. And I have had to re-up with every single one of them. I wasn't a very good father because I had no idea what being a father was like. And I had to go back to apologize to my kids and tell them, hey, listen, I just did not know. But I'm re-upping now, and I am going to take care of you the way a father should take care of you. And both my daughters contacted me as well as my son. Say, hey, Dad, praying for you. Love you, appreciate you taking care of it. Oh, yeah, okay, all right, thank you very much. If I didn't have help from people, God protects me from myself. I wasn't pushing the button. I was so excited about the topic that the stuff on the screen wasn't, but you should have seen the drama up there on the platform, in the balcony. Man, it was exciting. It was. And all I can see is these dark figures in front of that bright window. So it looks like, they're pantomiming, exaggerating. And, I love it. Thank you. Yes. Okay, thumbs up. Children, honor your parents. That word honor your parents means find value in them. The word honor doesn't mean, it means find value in them. When you re-up with your parents, when they're in their 40s, it's different than when they're in their 60s. And now my parents, my kids are honoring their parents in extraordinary ways. And I'm watching my nieces and nephews honor their parents, one now deceased. And I'm watching them do this re-up because it's changed. Things have changed. There's something new here. And I got to sign up for this. I'm going to do this. And I'm watching that unfold. And I love it because it's got to be a God thing to really work, to really be effective, to have that kind of sustaining love, to move the furniture, to fill out the documents, to transport, to comfort, all those things. That's new. They didn't have to do that before. Now they do. They re-upped. Same thing happens with re-upping with God. Citizens, respect your authorities. Oh, man. I hear lovely Christian people treating the authorities like dirt. No wonder they act like dirt. Whew. That's a subject for another day. But you get the idea. Victims, pray for your enemies. Pray for those who have abused you. Pray for those who done terrible things. I can't even think of the idea of praying for them, not against them, praying for them. Oh, God. What if Mom had prayed for that kid back in that day so that that kid would be behaving? Somebody dropped the ball somewhere along the line with that kid. And now that kid is an enemy and is a victimizer. Well, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't pray for them, that we shouldn't ask God to take care of them and teach them the right way and give him meaningful last days of his life if he's committed a horrible crime and is going to be locked away for the rest of his life or he's going to be executed. Church family show up for mission. Not missionaries, not foreign missions, but maybe. But this mission here. Are you willing to up? Okay, here's our challenge, folks. You knew it was coming. A spiritually successful life begins with, Lord, I'm available. I'm available. I want to do your will. Moses said, here I am. Here am I. Hurry up with God. Do it today. Do it now. I'm done. But God isn't. God isn't. You know, he's going to bug you for the rest of the week with, are you going to re-up? Oh, I'm so excited to hear what your stories are going to be when you decide to re-up with God. Heavenly Father, thank you for the wonderful things that you've done with our forefathers and foremothers and what they have taught us, showed us, revealed, demonstrated. Lord, you've revealed yourself. We thank you for that revelation. We thank you for songwriters that have written songs. We thank you for carpenters that have built and medical people that have brought healing into people's lives. And people that have helped negotiate difficult times with legal matters and financial matters, and there's so many ways that we can help others. And I thank you for the myriad of people that have helped us move. And people are still helping us. Our frail bodies, I just Wish I could do half the things I used to be able to do. But Lord, you've given me a heart and a mind, and your grace is enough. Thank you for it. I pray that you will bring conviction on all of us to re-up today, now, and each day as we enter the new day in the morning. And Lord, I proclaim now as a confession and as an earnest plea, Lord, I re-up with you now. In Jesus' name, amen.